Hey everyone, Thor Ragnarok is the big story this week with new details coming out about the deleted and altered scenes from the final cut of the film. What were they? Why were they changed? We will explain. Now, this is the Need to Know, a weekly deep dive into all of the biggest news this week. So we're also going to look at the new Star Wars trilogy from Rian Johnson in the live-action Star Wars series, the Harry Potter AR game, and the possibility of Avengers and X-Men exist in the same movies together, and of course Justice League news and more. And all these stories are based on the requests and reactions that you guys sent us via Stardust. Click our Stardust download link in the description below so you can upload your reactions to your favorite movies and TV shows, tag us at New Rockstars, and get them featured on this show. By the way, I am Erik Voss, and the rest of these brave heroes with me at the table are...
Oh, Sam Bashor over here.
Filup Molina.
My name is Maude Garrett.
We are the panel.
We are the panel. Well, let us get started with our top story, guys. Thor Ragnarok's deleted scenes. Now, when you watched Thor Ragnarok this week, which I assume you all did, maybe you didn't, you may have noticed that some of these scenes look different from the footage that we saw in trailers and promo material. So let's break down the major changes. And by the way, spoiler alert for some of the plot details that happened in the movie. Guys, it's been over a week, but you did click on this video, so watch at your own discretion. Okay, the most glaring of these changes was the setting of Hela's introduction. In the trailers, remember, Hela appeared to Thor and Loki and destroyed Mjolnir in a New York City alleyway, but the location was changed to a cliffside field in Norway in the final cut of the film. Also based on set photos taken of Anthony Hopkins, Odin was initially going to appear as a homeless person in New York. Now, the reason this was changed, according to director Taika Waititi, was that Odin dying in these goofy clothes in New York felt a little tonally off. Like, test audiences were confused as to why Odin was homeless.
It seems like a middle finger a little bit to the character, just a little bit, even though that's great.
Well, it's a little bit of a reference to, like, what if God was one of us, you know? Like,
a little bit,
Have you guys
just a homeless person.
seen or read American Gods? It's a very
I've seen
similar
it. The show's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he was going for. But either way, test audiences just felt like his death didn't have enough weight. So Waititi reset the scene in Norway, the birthplace, of course, of Norse mythology.
He thought it had more weight when he just became mist over water.
Spores.
Spores, right. That's right. We said that he grew into 1,000 new Odins.
Yeah. And I guess it's similar to the appearance of when Rigga died in the previous Thor movie. She kind of dissipated, right?
Into her spores, yeah.
So no one ever really dies, and that's why it's called nerd. Because it's the nerd effect. No one ever really dies. They get brought back.
Never
You're
really
right.
dies.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
As long as no one is treated as one word, that works.
Well, anyway, it required Hela's arrival, which has to happen immediately after Odin's death. It triggers her freedom now to take place in this setting too. That's why this location was changed. Anyway, do you guys agree with this change? What do you think about this change by Taika Waititi?
Tonally, yeah, that makes sense. Like, the set photo was really fun to see Anthony Hopkins having fun on set. That makes me happy to see these actors having a great time. But no, when you think about it, like, also, I'm gonna be honest, it looks cooler her popping up in New York, just like as a visual.
Yeah.
But if it's to send out for Odin, do it in a place that means more. If you watch the movie, the scene does feel really weird, and it's still kind of it doesn't have the weight that it should behind it. But at the very least, it's not a joke that this person's dying. So I guess I kind of like the change.
I still think it's pretty cool, and we're seeing it a lot, especially with the Star Wars movies, just how much you can change after the trailer has come out already, officially.
Right.
So I think it's a kind of a cool thing that they are able to make a huge difference like that with this kind of reshoot without it affecting the storyline or affecting too much else. It's just a few more work days for our professional cast. You know?
A little more money.
I don't think that it did what they were kind of hoping for. Where it's like, to me, this didn't feel weightier because it felt like I know a place like in Calabasas that looks exactly like this too. You know what I mean? Like, it was just grass. It didn't actually. The emotional weight needed to come from Thor reacting to his father's death.
Right.
And that wasn't really there. So I'm like, that's what they should have changed. The other thing is, I'm actually a little bummed that I'm normally never this negative, by the way, but it happened to line up this way. The time that Odin spent as a homeless person was actually supposed to be the answer of what happened since all of these movies have passed where Loki is pretending to be Odin, and the answer was given, well, Loki has like placed Odin on Earth and he's pretending to be a homeless person or whatever it was going to give us a conclusion to that arc, and instead it was just kind of like, Oh yeah, he's just been like hanging out in Calabasas instead. So that put a little unfinished to me.
Yeah, it might be something with like Anthony Hopkins is such a well-respected thespian actor, and they didn't want to put him in this kind of silly.
They did already though.
Trained in.
I think even his expression here is almost a reflection of how goofy this scene kind of felt. It probably felt a bit more comedic to see Odin pop up in these clothes, and I think my only gripe with it is like I think it's cool to reset it in Norway. Yeah, that is kind of like even in the opening shots of the first Thor movie, it's this prologue scene where they're talking about, you know, an ancient Norway. But for some reason, I don't know if that cliffside where they shot it actually was Norway. It felt a little generic. Like Norway is known for having these like beautiful landscapes, these geoporn shots. And I think maybe they could have picked a better fjord to shoot on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like
I don't know.
I think they did do Calabasas.
Yeah.
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 I feel like Luke Skywalker is trying to
Right, the other
give
side
the
of it.
lightsaber as well. It's the same setting. It's that
Yeah,
kind of
it's
island.
She
Ireland
just like
somewhere.
crushes it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're all screwed then.
Let's
That's
move
interesting.
on. Yeah.
I still think they could have had him be homeless, and then he could have like taken to gone
Right,
to
Doctor
Norway.
Strange zaps him
Exactly,
over
he's a
to-
freaking god.
Yeah, he can
Yeah.
do wherever he
He's the
whatever he
one,
wants.
yeah.
The next big change that you guys might have noticed was that shot of the four-person Revengers lineup. You know, Hulk, Thor, Valkyrie, and Loki on the Bifrost Bridge facing down Hela. That was in the trailer. It looked great. Was not in the final cut of the movie. All of these characters were definitely part of this battle, but they were scattered across different areas. Now, it's possible this group shot, like Maude was saying, might have just been composed solely for the trailer, just shooting interesting team-up shots for the trailer to show us who's in the movie, and whereas in the final cut, they can kind of use them as they need to for the narrative.
Yeah.
But one, according to Taika Waititi, one amazing joke that he did shoot, but he left out of the movie, said it might show up in the Blu-ray as a Blu-ray extra, was a callback to the Avengers with Hulk and Loki standing side by side, and then Hulk just punches Loki right out of frame.
Yes.
Of course, you know, this would have been a callback to the joke earlier in the movie where Hulk thrashes Thor around the way he did Loki in the Avengers. I don't know. Would you
That
guys
would
have
have
liked
been-
to seen this? Yeah.
That deleted scene, that would have been cool. I get why they did this, but like that's totally fine. But that joke would have been pretty fun.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so funny
Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah.
Like, keep it coming. I'll keep laughing.
It is getting a little frustrating when we keep seeing stuff that's just not in the movie, because the reason that they're so effective at making us excited about the movie is, oh man, I can't wait to see the moment where they all line up and face off against this person that this visually implies that Hela is one person who's enough threat for four of like the greatest fighters or like most powerful beings in this area. And it's like, well, when you don't have that one face-off moment, you don't have those peaks of excitement. And Chris McQuarrie, who is a famous screenwriter and stuff, he's worked on a lot of Mission Impossible movies. He was recently talking about how now, because the marketing department gets really mad at you if you don't have these kinds of moments, what they're doing is that they're going out of their way to shoot every single day one shot that could be in the trailer. Whether or not it's going to be in the movie, they just kind of go out of the way and they're like, all right, now let's do something trailery. You stand over there, you stand there, let's make that look cool. Great. Now we give that to the trailer department, and we don't actually put that in the movie.
Yeah.
Thus far, that hasn't bugged me in movies. I mean, unless we like look at. Nope, I can't actually pick a movie. I was going to say Suicide Squad, but I don't want to even give that movie any attention. No, I honestly, it hasn't bugged me. Like, a lot of people got mad with Spider-Man Homecoming when there was that shot of Iron Man and Spider-Man swinging together.
Such a trailer moment.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but when you watch it, you're like, all the buildings around them, Spider-Man's thing goes above all the buildings. Like, there's nothing that lines it. The shot doesn't make any sense. Like, the shot is clearly made just to be the end tag to say the release date. It's clearly what it is.
Spider-Man is just like shooting his web to the sky,
To
like in the old
nothing,
Spider-Man video
nothing
game.
at all.
Like,
No, I think I remember using that Star Wars trailer as the example for Rogue One, because a lot of the stuff in the trailer didn't
Yeah.
even make the movie at all. It
Right.
didn't last the reshoots. And I think apparently a fan was so upset at this that they tried to sue Disney for what is it, like misinformation or like, you know,
false advertising.
false
maybe?
advertising.
exactly what it is.
Wow.
They did that for
And-
Drive too. Like, a woman got mad
Really?
because she's like, "Oh, it's like Fast and Furious." He's like, "No, Drive is
Right.
nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Drive is nothing like that." Yeah.
Can we meet this woman? I
Yeah,
would
let's
love to
bring her
talk
on the
to
show.
this woman. That it's like, I want her Fast and Furious.
It's Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
But why does she sound like that? Why is she from there? I'm not entirely sure.
It's unrelated. She has a PhD in biology. It's just how she sounds.
Yeah, I think it might just be because these movies are to a degree fan service. So like these kind of trailer moments and these team up shots are kind of why people are going to see the
Right.
movies. They want to see so if it's not in the movie, they might feel a little.
Yeah, it's
But
the famous
the-
Whedon wraparound shot.
The legal side of it is they're not doing anything wrong. Like it's if apparently it's like more than 50% or more than a particular percent is not in the movie, then that's bad. bad. But if it's just like a few things here and there, it's totally
Wow.
fine. Absolutely acceptable. All above board. Very legal.
It's
Yeah.
interesting to hear that there's a legal argument at
Yeah.
all for
Yeah.
it, that there
Yeah.
is a percentage.
And you would think that it wouldn't matter, but then you remember that Ron Howard has reshot 80% of the solo movie.
Good thing
and
there
he
was no trailer
technically-
for it, yeah.
Exactly. He technically could have changed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there are a number of other little changes during development and post-production. For example, the trailers also had those shots of Loki flipping his knives, that master shot of Hela and the Valkyrie flashback slowly turned towards camera. There's that one line that Doctor Strange told Thor, "Destiny has dire plans for you." Like maybe in that case they didn't want Strange to have too much insight into Asgard's fiery Ragnarok end. Also, Waititi said that an early version of the Grandmaster's end credits scene showed him and Topaz on Earth undercover, like disappearing into a crowd. Also, just side note for those of you wondering, Lady Sif wasn't in this movie because actress Jamie Alexander was shooting the show Blind Spot in New York during production, but at least that allowed her to survive.
I was
the
about to say,
abrupt-
did anyone think that maybe she was just like, oh, send me the pages? Oh, you know what? I can't make it.
Busy
I feel like,
contracts.
yeah.
Words 3 are going out.
I saw that I died in one sentence, so maybe I don't.
And my
want
name was
that.
never even spoken. Yeah.
I'm really glad that Doctor Strange line got cut because Thor's response to it is, "I have dire plans for Destiny," and it's just like that doesn't make any
yeah.
sense. That doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense at all.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's not there.
Yeah, the person who sued Drive was mad that line wasn't in the movie. It feels like something The Rock would say to.
It makes sense.
She's starting a revolution.
But the third big change in the film involved Valkyrie and Thor's past. So when Thor and Valkyrie meet on Sakaar, originally they were going to remember each other from their youths, and there was going to be a flashback to an 80s version of Asgard.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, Waititi described it. He said he wanted the characters like in shoulder pads and mullets,
Yes.
so to be like Earth 80s.
Well, also you could reference the comic book versions from the 80s, which is something that Thor has always kind of looked like. He still stayed in the 80s for a long time. But yeah.
Well, the joke was going to be that Thor was going to be this fat teenager, and Loki was going to be an emo goth kid.
That's great.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it was going to be part of the flashback scene.
Yeah.
Some people were talking about this, but or maybe a different part of the movie. But Waititi did apparently shoot a scene with Valkyrie that confirmed her as a bisexual person, and the character in the comics, as you know, is bisexual. We're going to see a scene where a woman walks out of her bedroom, but Waititi cut it because he said it was just in that moment, just distracting from whatever the momentum of the scene was. What do you guys think of this whole idea for a flashback?
It's amazing.
I love
Yeah.
yeah. I even love, like, you can kind of see that they did retain, like, he's got that, like, those cuffs you wear when you're, like, feeling feelings, and, like, you can't tell, but it says My
I
Chemical
had some.
Romance on it.
I remember that phase a lot.
Yeah.
I draw them on me. We all went through our phases.
Yeah. It sounds like in all these examples, like Waititi wanted to just have fun with this and like be more ridiculous with both like showing Odin as a homeless person in New York and like a fat version of Thor. He was really thinking like what's the funniest angle to approach.
Yeah,
and
I
just
wish he had
separate
asked,
himself.
like, all right, let's not do that one time in the movie. Let's put something that isn't just the funniest thing. But the Valkyrie mention, actually, I do think is fascinating because there's a question somebody hit me up on Stardust. They hit me up somewhere else too. They're like, wait, was Valkyrie a lesbian? Did the woman that saved her from being killed the first time she faced off against
Yeah.
Hela, was that her
Oh.
girlfriend or her wife or something? And I want to say just yes, I think that's the case. But
Maybe,
I kind
yeah.
of love that it was like, so what? Not a big deal. We're not even gonna like
Fact.
deal with that. It's just yeah, it happened to be that.
Just normalize it.
I think at the moment we're trying to deal with so many things with diversity and in being inclusive that as soon as you start going, look, we're doing it, how great are we? You're actually doing more harm than good. And I love how subtle it is. Like the fact that you could think about it a week later and be like, oh, wait a second, like this could
Thor's
have
gay.
Yeah. Well, we know that about Thor being gay. Yeah.
That's canon. That's always been there.
Yeah.
Jane Foster dumped him for a reason. It just
Yeah.
wasn't working out.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's start a reaction from Rebecca on Stardust. She told us what she loved the most from Thor Ragnarok.
Is this the answer to our question from last week?
Yes. in a
Went
way.
to see it. Know it's called Thor and everything, but I was totally there for the Hulk. Hulk. He was fantastic. From the hot tub to bouncing the ball to pancaking to the giant big monster. Also loved Korg. Korg was great. I went with a buddy of mine. This movie was fun. Thor Ragnarok was a fun MCU movie. Do yourself a favor, go see it. It was great.
Rebecca is adorable.
Well, he was 30 seconds as well.
Yeah,
Before-
she's like so calm and
Yeah.
like
so great.
present.
Before she
good
got
time.
to the Korg part, that was the best sum up of this movie. Like pancake, the ball,
Yeah.
the falling, like the big
Right.
monster. I loved it.
Hold on, I want to know from you guys. She's thrown Hulk into this as Team Hulk. Who's your favorite? If you had to choose
Oh, between Hulk and Thor?
If one of them had to die,
Different question.
After seeing this movie, well,
Sophie's
who's your favorite?
choice, okay.
Yeah, who's your favorite?
Hulk got some cool stuff to do. I want to see what they're gonna do with him if he had to kill one Thor.
Yeah, agreed. Like we've had 3 movies of Thor. Like we need to see Hulk now. I think this would be a great if they had the legal ability to give Thor a starring role in his own movie. This would be a good launching point for him.
Yeah, sorry, Thor. I think I've said it before that the Hulk actually has like a really amazing story in him about mental problems and identity issues, and like that's an awesome story that I would love to see.
I'm Australian. I'm not allowed to say anything. Thor.
This is the Hemsworth
Take
law.
back your visa.
Yeah. I'll never be welcome back into my country.
Anyway, thank you, Rebecca. We totally agree. And she answered a question that we posed to you guys last week of what was your what you found funniest from Thor
You
Ragnarok.
gave 4 answers.
You gave us 4 answers.
4 answers.
Kind of cheated.
Gold stars.
Oh,
kind of cheated. Overachiever. But actually, we have some more responses that we'll get to later in the video, as well as next week's question that we would love you guys to answer. But if you haven't already, click on our Stardust app download link in the description below, and post your reaction to your favorite movie or TV show. Tag us in it at New Rockstars. So we can feature you like we did with Rebecca in next week's show.
This could be you.
This could be you.
She knows her angles.
But speaking of Thor, let's move on to our weekly trivia question. I believe it is Thor related. Philip, would you like to take this one?
Right. Real quick. Okay. Real quick. I had an observation when I was thinking about Thor, as I do, and I remembered one interesting tidbit about some people that appeared in this movie. And I was like, good trivia question. I think you might be able to get it. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. But I'm only going to give you a very short time to answer this.
Okay.
All right. 3 actors in Thor Ragnarok all appeared together in a different non-MCU property. Who are the actors and what is the property?
Oh.
And it's not from the MCU, but 3 actors in this Thor Ragnarok movie are all 3 in the same other non-MCU property. It's not a very old one either. And who are they and what is the property?
3 actors, non-MCU property. Were they in the same scene together in Thor? Or just 3 actors that started
They
this?
may or may not have been, but that makes it less fun to make it too easy on you.
Okay.
So while we write our answers down, last week we asked you guys what in Thor Ragnarok made you laugh the most. We heard a little bit now, but also we want to hear from 3 more people who responded. So let's roll some clips.
I knew Rockstars were asking the question, what's the funniest gag of this film? And there's loads and loads to choose from, lots of slapstick and things. I'm going to go for a slow burner, which is Korg talking to his little sidekick, Meek, is it? And he's squatting and stuff's coming out of his backside. Superb bit of improv, and he's speculating on what it is, and I thought that was hilarious.
As a Kiwi watching Thor Ragnarok, my funniest thing was definitely when Taika ran in and was like, piss off, ghost! As it's just a real Kiwi thing to say, and we quote it constantly.
So I went and saw Thor Ragnarok, seen it twice now in cinema, and every single time I watch it, without a doubt, I'll have that, that laugh where your chest hurts because you're trying to be quiet because you're in a cinema, being respectful, and you just laugh out through your nose and snot's everywhere. It's disgusting. But it happened every time I watched Matt Damon as Loki and Luke Hemsworth as Thor reference Throg. Just, oh.
How's that Star Wars poster in the back?
Yeah.
Legend.
Awesome. All right. We got your answers.
We got all our answers in, locked in.
Technically, I'm not wrong.
What's the punishment?
You missed it last week too.
We have a fun punishment coming up. So as always, the winner of it will be able to do the goodbyes of the episode, and you can do the goodbyes however you want and make fun of us and mispronounce our names and Twitter handles, however you choose. The loser, as decided by our judges, winners and losers, will have to read our in other news headlines, other need to know essential information, but you're gonna have a difficult challenge at the end of each headline that you have to read.
Okay.
Yeah. And later in the show, we'll also reveal the answer to this trivia question, obviously.
Please.
Yes.
More news.
More news.
Said the dorkiest kids. More news,
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to another big story because, again, this is the need to know. We cover all kinds of big news in this past week that you guys need to know about. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Director Rian Johnson will be launching a new Star Wars trilogy separate from the current trilogy of Episode 7, 8, and 9. It will focus on new characters from a corner of the galaxy that Star Wars lore has never explored before.
Earth.
Possibly.
Earth.
The corner of a galaxy.
Because it is a big
The
cube,
planet's
right?
a cube, and they're like,
We're corner people.
Rian Johnson will write and direct the first film of the trilogy. Also, there will be a live-action Star Wars series that will be released on Disney's streaming device in
Like a
2019.
TV show,
Yeah,
basically.
a TV show.
Live action Star Wars TV show Christmas special.
Yes, a Christmas special.
well, it's
I learned
that
that
world.
lesson.
It's the Wookiee family the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, it's just the Wookiees, but like the Cleveland show or something.
Can't wait.
With all this Star Wars content in the pipeline, I wanted to do a round of Pitch Me here.
Yes.
Let's pitch the completely untold Star Wars story that we are dying to see. What type of characters should take over the franchise? What corner of the galaxy do we need to explore? And like, what kind of tone should this new movie trilogy and TV series have?
Well, I have.
You going first?
Yes. I want to see Knights of the Old Republic. Okay, so this.
Damn it, that was mine.
Oh, is it?
That
So-
was mine on a previous conversation.
I do want to know, like, never been explored, because technically this hasn't been touched within canon, but it is in the expanded universe now, Legends. Instead of going which corner of the galaxy, let's go back in time, because the galaxy has been around for a long, long time, and the Old Republic was between, I think, 5 and 25,000 years before the events of the New Hope. And this is where it wasn't the rule of two with
that long ago?
yeah. And there were a lot of Jedi and a lot of Sith. And it was like, I think I've mentioned this before, it's like the X-Men opening crawl with the cartoon where they just, it's like that, but Jedi and Sith, right? And it's not the rule of two, so it's not trying to, kill and find that you're either the apprentice or the master. It is two armies that have very, very different abilities that are going head to head. Now, particularly in Knights of the Old Republic, it focuses around the Sith side of things, where it's particularly two, again, the master and the apprentice. I don't necessarily know if I need that, but I love the space and the world of Knights of the Old Republic. If you haven't played the game, I think this is a video game, apart from Ocarina of Time, that I played the most. And it's available on everything: iPad, MacBook, everything. So there's no excuse. But we need this again, and I want to see it as if it was like X-Men, where it's two sides, where there's a lot there, and it's just Jedi and Sith powers galore.
Especially if they did take the X-Men example early on, you could explore the reason why the Sith are the way they are, instead of just like blanket evil. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. And I love that Disney is no longer saying it's good and evil. It's the light side and the dark side, and that is such a grey area. And can we please get grey Jedi as well? Anyway, that's
Right. Yes.
But I think that's so worth exploring.
So I've pitched this like a number of times before, actually, but I actually am very passionate about technology and how it can be so much more than we know. So I want a droid trilogy, but I want droids of all kinds. I want them to be on their own planet. These are droids that have been outcast. It's kind of like an island of misfit toys kind of thing, but with droids. And they have a hierarchy, and they have droids that are kind of like worker droids, and they're a lower class, and then they have like more like language droids or whatever that are of a higher class.
Droids?
Oh,
I'm so glad I wasn't here for this.
And then specifically, you are playing with a little bit of like in Star Wars, the droids. I mean, look at C-3PO, look at K-2SO. These are people. So it is a little bit of the themes of like Blade Runner or whatever. Where are the limits of humanity and not? You had your time.
They're human-cyborg relations. They're not humans.
They're more human than we are.
Well, and I think that there's a reason why we react so strongly to animals getting hurt or something. It's because these things have like a lot that could be explored, and essentially some version of a soul potentially. I mean, how many movies about robots have gone down that path? Like, do I have a soul? So I want to see that, but also throw in the idea of force-sensitive robots or droids, and you have like. What?
Oh no, he wasn't really, was he?
They said goiters.
I
was like, oh no, my goiter.
Goiters.
Yeah.
It's flaring up.
Hype man Sam letting me know my goiter flared up. But I still think there's so much to do with droids because, and I'll again double down on this. K2SO is the best character in Rogue One.
Yeah, he's the only one that you felt anything when he died, for sure. It sounds like this is a bit of a droid story. Star Wars a droid story, right? Like also like a Toy Story version with the droids. Like they have their own lives. And
I mean, that sounds like a cute version of what I'm saying. I'm saying like
I was
serious
picturing
things.
Pixar animated. Yeah.
Is it like Bicentennial Man? Like
that
serious?
movie Robots? Do you remember that?
I
was
love
a
that
CGI
movie. I love that movie. But think about this for a second. Right off the top of my noggin. See if I can remember what she said in my ear. What about a smuggler's story? Just picture this for a second. No, just like following the story of a Han Solo type. But yeah, you can go in the past. You're going to deal with bounty hunters. You're going to be dealing with maybe drugs, spies.
Smuggling information.
Smuggling information. You're gonna go to as many parsecs as you can get to in a 3
maybe some gambling
movie. The
like the Bunta race.
Look. Even other people have got ideas from this. It's so inspiring.
This came from.
No, but honestly, I agree with Maude. Even though she gave me the idea, I think that would be really fun because. Yeah, you watch Star Wars movies. For me, again, from the outside of not being a full nerd, you want the Force, you want the lightsabers, you want the droids, but there is something special about trying to tell a more normal story, or like when you have a society like this where like hierarchies like pop up really fast. Again, there might be more to their society that I don't know about, but I think it would be really interesting to see how like somebody would try to be successful in this galaxy without, having to have these special abilities. Because it seems like immediately you have the upper hand in every single way.
Just bring back Firefly inside of the Star Wars universe.
Actually, just do Fire. That's a TV show I was going to pitch. Is Firefly, but with that. Actually, Rogue One, like the premise of it, if they didn't all, the end of the movie, but that idea of a team doing spy stuff, you could make a very long series with that. You can make a really long series, and Disney will just funnel money into that.
Yeah.
We can get some Bothans this time, maybe.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. My pitches are centered on that idea too, because I think my favorite part of the Star Wars movies has been the war element, and I like that idea when Rogue One initially was like brought up to us as this idea for a movie. Yeah, I would love to see just like the grounded military approach. As much as I love the whole Force mythology and how like little actions and decisions can have huge effects. Like I like that whole theme, but yeah, I wanted to see what just a foot soldier does, and I think Rogue One kind of got there. It just narratively had some issues that prevented it from being that. But my idea for a trilogy would center around so after World War II ended, you know how there was that lone Japanese soldier on an island somewhere in the Pacific who like decades later didn't know the war had ended.
He didn't know it didn't end until the 70s.
Yeah, and he was brought back to Japan. He got this hero's welcome of like what a loyal, patriotic soldier who just like stood his post for decades. I would love the Star Wars equivalent of that. Just seeing some stormtroopers
because they're planets. Like the war shouldn't have ended for like another 100 years on some planets because they just didn't know.
They didn't have communication. If they have to like transfer by hand a drive with the Death Star plans, they don't have the internet. They don't have ways to reach each other.
That does come into play in like some Star Wars novels and stuff. This idea of that the Empire did not fall.
Right. The regional governors still maintain control over their star systems, but I would love to see just a small I mean, even though if it's a trilogy, you'd have to bring in other B plots and other narratives in there, but I would love if that's the focus of just this one Empire soldier who's still trying to maintain his post. Okay, well, let's move on to another news story that you need to know about from this week. Okay, we just learned that Niantic, the gaming company behind Pokemon Go, is launching a Harry Potter AR game. It is called Harry Potter Wizards Unite. Now, according to Niantic, by exploring real-world neighborhoods and cities across the globe, I'm reading their copy here, players will go on adventures, learn and cast spells, discover mysterious artifacts, and encounter legendary beasts and where to find them and iconic characters. Now, I thought it'd be interesting for us to look at this by the numbers, with this week's number being 45 million.
Number.
That number was, by the way, the peak number of daily active users that Pokemon Go reached. Daily active users in July 2016, of course, dropped down to 5 million daily active users as of last April.
I was still playing.
Yeah, a lot of people were still playing.
You also played for a really long time, too.
I did, but then I forgot my login and I just gave
Hold on, did everyone at the table play it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
course
I
we
was
all did.
definitely
Yeah.
one of those.
This was the number of videos we made about it. It's
Oh,
on YouTube.
I
Oh,
did
gosh.
I did a little trip in Europe and I did catch a Mr. Mime when I was there.
There you go.
Yeah, same.
In
Mr.
Paris,
Mime.
I feel like it's a mime.
He was
Did-
in the Louvre.
Didn't you offer to? I'm not
Get it for a
put you out
friend?
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
To have someone pay you to pick up
No,
European
Oh,
Pokemon.
a friend of ours asked if I could get it for their son as a present, and that
yeah, and
was
you
wow.
charged how much for that?
no.
Mr. Mime goes for quite a bit.
I got a Farfetch'd in Japan when I was there, so I felt good about that one.
I really liked that Pokemon when I was a kid. Anyways,
Yeah.
Wizards.
Well,
gonna
would you
leak.
guys think that Wizards Unite will reach these kind of numbers?
45
million's a lot. It's a
daily
high
active
watermark.
users.
Yeah.
You have to compare where the franchise was before the game. And I think Pokemon, even though it has a very, very hardcore audience, like the movies have kind of simmered down a little bit. I think it peaked, like, as a franchise, for me, I was only Gen 1. Like, I only really lasted Gen 1. I still played all the games, but my interest, I was like, oh, I'm getting older,
Right.
you know? I can't get over Harry Potter. I love it. I love the world, and I miss the movies, and I cried. I sobbed hysterically when I finished the last book and then finished the last movie because it was over. Right. So to immerse me into that world, and then it's also got the success of Pokemon backing that. It's like we
Right.
loved that so much. Some people sure realized that, 40 million people realized that it didn't have long play value,
Right.
but there were still that many people there. I'm so about it, and I'm a Gryffindor, by the way.
oh, we
So-
took the test.
Yeah.
My counterpoint, I do agree with Maude that like I think Harry Potter is actually more of an active burning in people's hearts right now at this moment, and Pokemon felt like it was a reactivation,
Yeah.
an awakening. But my counterpoint to that is the concept of Pokemon. You want to go out and be a master, and you want to collect Pokemon. You want to do exactly what the game was designed to do. And I think we had this conversation when we heard that they were doing a Harry Potter version. We're like, we had to think what could they do? Fantastic Beasts? Could it be
you
catching?
catch them, yeah.
We had
So
to
Pokemon.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
we had to hunt in our head to figure out what the connection could be that would make it this AR game. And the fact that is not easy and not at the front of your brain makes me think that there isn't enough connection to a desire to want to be a wizard. I think a game about being a wizard and that's the only thing you're doing, that obviously has way more potential to fantasy. The kids,
Yeah.
what kids
But
want to be.
there was a report that came out this week or last talking about that Pokemon is one of, or it's in the top 5 most successful franchises that's ever existed. It's just because it, and also if you guys think about it, it doesn't have a long retention of fans. Fans kind of boot out when they get 15 something, or they pick it back up in college to play because it's really popular for college kids.
Yeah.
But they constantly get new kids to play it because they pump out a new game every 3-5 years, and they have a
Yeah.
TV show a TV show will end and they'll immediately make 2 more, and it constantly is getting at least the younger audience. So that's a little different from Harry Potter, which still has really dedicated fans, even though there isn't any new content besides Fantastic Beasts coming out. So I don't think you're going to get anywhere near the 45 million.
Yeah.
Maybe initially, but it won't. I really don't see it hitting that kind of number.
Yeah, the difference I think for me is Pokemon Go, as someone who we played Pokemon, the version of Pokemon Go as an AR game is almost like wish fulfillment. I remember
Right.
playing Red and being like, man, I wish a Pikachu would just walk out of the bushes right now. So
Or
once
you
it
stole
came
that
out,
cat, too.
yeah, and then there was I did. I stole a lot of cats. And I supercharged them with electricity, and I went to jail
They're
for
fine.
a long time.
They're fine.
to have you back.
Yeah, I think, and then they made that viral video that came out that a lot of people were saying that
Yeah.
they took the idea for Pokemon Go from that video
Right.
of wouldn't it be great if this existed? Whereas with Harry Potter, I think the wish fulfillment was man, I wish there was a real Diagon Alley. I wish there was a real Hogwarts that I could go to. And arguably the Universal Parks in Orlando and right down the street from us
can see it
here,
from our
we can see
window.
our window,
Yeah.
created these for us. So as a kid, if you're reading the books, there is a Hogwarts you could go to. You just pay Universal whatever it is the day rate to go there. So there is a version of that exists. I don't know how much more. I mean, I'll probably play this AR game. I'm super excited about it. And I think the difference might be Fantastic Beasts and Where, because that did kind of restart the movie franchise, and there is an element of like these, magical beasts have scattered all over our world, and we have to go find them now. Maybe there might be some angle there that.
And what did Pottermore get? Because Pottermore came out after the movies, didn't it? That sounds about right. And it still got like a crazy.
Yeah, there wasn't much content on that. You just got sorted into a house. You got allocated a wand, and then they made a new school as well, Ilvermorny. But as far as like the actual content, it was mainly written pieces. It was, acting as a glossary almost.
But I wasn't a huge Harry Potter fan, even though who doesn't love a Harry Potter movie? But I even checked out that website multiple times. So it's like it's gonna get numbers initially when it launches. I just don't know if it can last.
Sorry, it just when you walked outside during Pokemon Go season, I mean, it was like overpopulation suddenly was a thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, there's so many people.
This is where
city.
everybody's been.
Yeah.
They were hiding.
I kind of feel like we're thinking that they're just going to keep the exact
Like
schematics of it, and just swip it over. And I think they're going to have to completely pivot the design and offer something very, very different from Pokemon Go. I think that AR is probably the only thing that will stay the same, but everything else, like they're gonna have to completely change it, because you can't just switch one out for the other successfully.
Yeah. It could be really cool. It could be like, you're walking around your neighborhood or downtown, wherever you live, and they're able to like geotag these locations as, no, this is actually the secret home of such and such wizard, or there's a Dementor behind this trash can or something like that. There's other things you can do.
The idea of AR, and now you are suddenly privy to a magical world that is among our world, and you see your bully, and you're like, Crucio, or whatever, and he beats you up anyway.
Well,
He just takes your phone.
It'd be really cool as well if you like put a phone in front of it and it AR put on the house colors that each person was in. So
sorts
like,
people.
if you were on it as well, it would register that,
That's
and
cool.
you would like unveil your actual house colors.
Oh, remember when Pokemon Go made that little bracelet and then no one bought it? It was that button. It was supposed to like vibrate or something when a Pokemon was in the air.
Wait, didn't you have that?
No.
He has it right here.
No, I didn't get it. I did
sold it
want
to
it.
someone.
I did want it really bad, but then I realized it didn't do anything. It
I
just
think it
drained your
vibrates,
battery
doesn't it?
really fast. But if it had another what do you call those? What do you call those?
Accessory?
Accessory, but there's like a peripheral. If it had a peripheral like that I think that could also
a wand peripheral.
Yeah.
For sure,
Like or something. Time turner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just always wanted one of those.
If only
necklaces.
we all
Right,
had
we all
time
need a time
turners.
turner.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to another big news story from this week. Earlier this week, we heard rumors that Disney was in talks to purchase Fox, 21st Century Fox's film and TV properties, which would finally allow all the Marvel Studios characters, of course, the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, etc., to appear in movies with the X-Men, Deadpool, and the Fantastic Four. Well, it sounds like these talks are dead. The deal isn't happening. It would be a little crazy, by the way, because that would put Disney in control of 40% of all of our entertainment.
Take
roughly.
it. Take it.
Right?
You can have it.
But guys, what if we lived in an alternate timeline where these properties were all part of the same universe? I think we should discuss the film and TV landscape, what it would look like if the Avengers and X-Men could, hang out together. Like what movies that we've seen before, what movies would be different, what comic adaptations would be possible in this hypothetical world.
In this hypothetical world, did they already make Civil War?
Yeah, let's assume they have already made Civil War.
And it's like right now that
it's 2017. This deal does happen.
I still say remake a new version of Civil War. Call it whatever you want, but do Civil War with all of these characters, because the comic actually is not. It's not the best, but it's the team ups that happen across these people that you never think would get together. And then the causes of Civil War is also characters that you never think would matter. And then especially the part that frustrated me the most about the movie, even though Civil War is a great movie, obviously, if you read the comic, my favorite part is the idea of going underground and having to have, this whole other Avengers team that operates essentially through sewers and stuff. Like that was fascinating to me, and it's a whole thing that they couldn't do because there just wasn't enough characters.
Yeah.
But man, if they could just do a version of, you could do that as a trilogy.
Or you could do it as like a 6-part series on your new streaming service, Disney. Like that would be perfect for it, like an hour long, because isn't it like multi-part chapters in the comics?
Yeah,
like
there's
you could
like
spend
6,
a chapter
I
on each
believe, or
different.
so of like the full story.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
every single adjacent comic had to deal with Civil War storylines too.
I think the only that you could do it now, and you pull the same thing Doctor Strange was. It was like, no, the wizards have been here the whole time, or sorry, sorcerers, because someone's gonna be like that in the comments. But like they're like, we're here the whole time, but we just manipulate time and we use spells, and you can't see us here. We're not here. And then X-Men, it's just like a same thing basically.
Yeah.
We just have this big
We look
shield.
normal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you go in you get classic movie. You get like the normal like kid like wandering in, and all of a sudden he stumbles onto Xavier's school, and like all the X-Men are there, and they're younger. You keep them Spider-Man's age, but you have some of the older ones.
And rebooted with all new actors.
Yep. Because I did not like the ones they used in Apocalypse. Get new ones, please.
Or any of the actors can't, like, not even Hugh Jackman.
I mean,
Yeah.
A new
Well, no,
Wolverine.
let's go a different timeline. We've already discussed how cool would it be in Thor if we saw an 80s side of it all. It's the same thing with this. How cool would it be if we started and we had the older characters young again? Like a young... we did Young Storm and that...
See, exactly. That's the thing. I wasn't a big fan of that.
Young Wolverine.
Well, but we're also talking about this idealized version where the reason I said give it to Disney is because Disney does nail it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they could do young versions of these characters
Yeah.
well. I mean, look at Spider-Man. Spider-Man is such a good movie.
and
The
it's
most recent
successfully
Spider-Man.
rebooted.
I loved
They
it.
Yeah.
nail it, but they don't always allow for, I think, diversity of types of story. Like, would Disney have allowed Logan or Deadpool, these
Yeah.
R-rated, edgy
I mean,
films?
isn't that what Rogue One is trying to be at least? You know?
But it's not R-rated.
I mean,
think
they
it's
murdered
just-
a lot of people in that. They just weren't
Right.
violent about it.
Yeah, if it doesn't appeal to the four quadrants, as they say within the industry, Disney usually shies away from it, or they'll
Yeah.
give it to one of the other production companies that they own, like Touchstone or something, to pursue that like darker type of content.
People say that though, but Wolverine's a violent character. It's
Yeah.
not like they have another character on there that is as violent as him. And if they had him, you kind of have to. And it would be dumb of Disney to not like lean into Deadpool's also raunchy humor and fourth wall breaking, and like he's hanging out with strippers and like he's drugs and like he's just getting blown apart. Like it's.
he screws everything.
Yeah, you have to lean into
Yeah.
that. So Disney could lean into that because like they allow them to say, pardon my French, shit every once in a while in a Marvel movie. They get it.
Dude,
Pardon.
let's find out next week. I mean, Punisher.
Oh, right.
I know,
yeah.
and
If
they're
they
letting
do
that
Punisher,
happen.
Like
Yeah.
they're gonna be
Yeah.
okay with
Yeah,
some serious
that's true.
stuff.
But Fantastic Four. Sorry, you want to say something? Go. I've been talking a lot.
No, I've listened.
But Fantastic Four would be an amazing. I think it would be a really good
Right.
model for a TV series. But then I'm like, oh wait, The Thing. Never mind. Don't do that. Like, don't do
Anytime
that.
there's like that level of CGI.
Yeah.
it's just
And
like,
Johnny
it looks
Storm, it's like
poop.
you could make Johnny Storm look good because you can just get him from far away. But it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same thing as you want to do a live action
I'm on
X-Men
fire.
show. That'd be amazing. But it's like,
I'm watching Inhumans. I'm getting the hint.
No,
It's not.
Stop trying with Inhumans.
Yeah.
I think if you are going to introduce them in the most successful way, I see your Civil War, but I raise you one. The Infinity Wars is probably going to be an easier way to introduce so many more characters because it's not Earth, it's the universe. And so that's where like a lot of things could come out of the woodworks more successfully. And then, of course, you're right, you deal with your space-time continuum and everything's possible.
Yeah, punch a
get
little hole
crisis
through
where it
reality,
happens.
and then you like merge some realities. They're like, no, the mutants have always been here. Yeah, Inhumans,
Yeah.
never,
Right, no.
never, except for Lockjaw, because put him in a movie. He's real cute.
Yeah.
He's real cute.
Yeah.
He's real cute.
I would love I mean, as much as I loved Logan, which did take a lot from the comic Old Man Logan, like, we didn't really see a true adaptation of Old Man Logan, which is even more violent and features, like,
Dinosaurs.
Hulk as a slumlord.
and, like, he's
Hawkeye is
incestuous.
blind and goes on a road
Yes.
trip.
Yeah,
Red
best,
Skull
though,
is in it.
Is
Yeah.
that in spoilers for Old Man Logan, but somebody killed Giant Man when he was still giant, and like he disintegrated,
Just-
and it's just his skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many crazy, like, I would love like a Tarantino Robert Rodriguez version of that
Robert
under
Rodriguez.
Disney's mantle.
Yeah.
Right,
Can we
of course.
Can we get the Venom Tyrannosaurus? please?
Yeah,
Like
it's
that-
so cool.
It's like Jurassic World meets the Venom movie that we've all wanted.
Well, let's move on to our next news story. Okay, so Justice League, less than a week away, guys. We are learning some final interesting details from a recent full cast press conference and other media appearances, along with some early reviews on Twitter from people who somehow have seen it. I don't know how we get our hands.
I had some friends see it. I'm very
Yeah.
upset.
Lucky.
There was a screen.
So I'm gonna.
Hey, no, not even joking. If you know who I need to email
Yeah.
so that we get to see some movies early, we would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I will send you an Xbox.
Oh, this guy's got an Xbox.
Little
Right.
bribery.
Yeah, it's not a Microsoft Xbox.
There's a box with an X.
Yeah, but it's
Be
great.
clear.
What's
Let
inside?
me
You'll have to
know.
find out.
X marks
Okay.
the
Well,
box.
we're going to break down all the key final info you need to know. We went through all this stuff, and we're distilling just the need-to-know information here. Okay, so everyone in the cast sounds super intent on making us believe that Superman is indeed dead, including Henry Cavill. Now, I guess this could just because is Superman returning is one of the biggest questions that they're all getting all the time.
Just Jon Snow rules.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
He's dead.
Yes, he's dead. Yes, he's dead. It sounded like to me like they've gotten some specific talking points though from the studio to just set expectations. So yeah. Nah. All right. So okay.
It's just a little stroke. Don't look at it when it happens.
Okay. So Ezra Miller went into detail about the Flash's relationship with the Speed Force.
Whoa.
Barry is theorizing about this phenomenon. That's going to be a big part about his character's arc.
Setting up his
very
movie,
interesting, right.
very likely,
This
as
is
Sam is incredulous about it.
I've heard already that he's the better part of the movie.
Really?
Him being the comedic relief.
He was pretty funny in the clips we've seen so far.
And I've heard a lot of good things about Cyborg, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
I think so,
Some more information. Gal Gadot confirmed that the name Wonder Woman was given to Diana by the people whom she saved, probably referring to the people in the town of Veld. Remember in World War I that we saw her liberate that town earlier this year.
Who gave her logo and everyone else's logo?
Where did that suit come from? She just put it on and then
Ornate
left.
on
Like
the
someone with
tiara
a
that she got
sketch
from
pad,
Hippolyta.
Just the Lex Luthor.
Oh, right. The email attachment. How can we forget?
Yeah.
He has a marketing department that puts these
Right.
things
These
together.
metahumans, we got to find brands for them. Okay, so there's also been some mixed messages about the tone of the movie. Like many of the cast members are describing the movie as about hope, but Henry Cavill said
S.
that, right, that's the letter, what this one means. He said that calling the movie light would be an injustice.
Wink,
So-
wink, 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 wink,
Would you
wink,
love
wink,
to
wink,
see
while
that?
he's playing the game holding it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some more information. Cavill wouldn't give us more information about that cryptic Black Superman-esque costume that he posted on social media, but he did say that if Clark Kent were to return, the Rebirth comics are a good inspiration. Now, in those, Clark has a different relationship with Lois. He has a son, so it's just kind of interesting homework
That's-
for all of us.
It gets
Would
real
be weird.
Yeah.
That would be weird. That character in Rebirth has like 90 years of story behind him. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, sure. The cast also talked about some scenes that were deleted from the film, including one where the Flash, Barry Allen, eats a ton of hamburgers. I'm imagining super fast. It's kind of
Silly
fun.
Flash.
There's also an emotional reunion scene
Funny.
between Cyborg and his mother that is
Gone.
in the cut. Gone. No time.
No emotional
emotion.
development for
Oh my
Cyborg.
gosh.
And finally, some early reviews from these lucky bastards on Twitter have described the film as fun, praising the character development chemistry of the Justice League team members, but they had mixed feelings about the story and the villain, which they kind of described as like a
Right.
generic CGI.
Yeah.
CGI
Stepping
villain is gonna.
Oh my gosh, Suicide Squad, the first
Right.
Batman v
everything.
Superman.
I mean,
Stop
Wonder Woman
doing
even,
it.
like,
yeah,
went there,
yes,
yeah.
every single time. It's like stop taking us out of the world when we were so close to giving a shit.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
close.
So based on all this information, what do you guys think? Are you excited for Justice League next week?
You stay
More or
right-
less?
Stay right here. Just stay. This is the lane you stay in. Just
Yeah,
stay here.
yeah.
Did that for Wonder Woman, and I was everybody was surprised by Wonder Woman, and
Yeah.
not because of. Don't read into that. It's just we had, based on history, this movie
Yeah.
was looking
Right.
like it was going to be really bad. Also, like everyone pointed out before that movie came out, the advertising just
Limited.
disappeared for
Right.
like a month, and no one was talking about the movie. So with this, just go middle of the road.
Yeah.
I like it. You're like protecting our hearts. I feel like
Yes.
you're like our dad, where it's like trying not to get our heart broken. Now, son, you just go out there. You keep your head down. You do your good work
So,
every
a
day.
bowling instructor dad, like it's middle of the lane.
All his metaphors are about that.
Is that because he's
Three
wearing
holes,
a
three
sweatband?
fingers.
Don't be a turkey. Yeah. Well, actually, Filup posted a reaction about the review embargo. Philip's gonna give some details on that on Justice League on
did I?
Stardust. Let's take a look.
I'm getting kind of nervous about this movie again. I was super excited for it, and then I was kind of worried about it. And now they're holding reviews until 16 hours before the movie comes out in theaters. Usually not a good sign. What do you guys think? Reassure me, maybe?
God, those
Did they
eyes.
reassure you?
Can you reassure yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we were saying, but it's like anytime I see a review embargo that goes into the week of the movie that it comes out,
Not good.
Right.
I
It's-
get
usually
nervous.
not
But I
Hey.
think we're all on the same page now.
Blade Runner did that. Blade Runner was great.
It might just be a Warner Brothers thing.
Was
as we were
Blade
saying
Runner
before the show.
that close?
It
to
was the
release?
day before. It's on Dunkirk as well. Both
Yeah.
of them.
Warner
day
Brothers
before.
is trying out this thing of the strictest review embargoes. They couldn't even say certain basic first act plot information
Yeah.
about
Do
Blade
you
Runner in
think
the
it's,
reviews.
it's strategic for when a movie's bad? They're just going to go ahead and put an embargo across all movies, and now it's like, hey, now you can't tell.
Oh, yeah, it's like putting the cup under the ball. Like, which it
yeah.
could be under this. Yeah. Who knows? Well, another positive thing that we have seen some of the reviews is that there is someone to relate to, or at least the cast is trying to put this out there of like, there's all the characters are so well defined that there is someone you might be able to relate to in this movie. So we're going to make this our Stardust question for you guys. Yeah, for those of you robots out there. Since it's dropping next week, for the next episode of The Nito, you saw our last week we asked you posts up here. For next week, we want to ask you, what Justice League member do you identify with the most? Right? Right. Working
And
again.
why?
Cyborg.
Well, there's one woman, so
Cyborg.
yes.
You were a star athlete.
What about
Iron machine.
I'll be the corpse of Superman. I relate the most with him lying there in his little box.
Right, yeah. So what we'd like you to do is, post your reaction this week and tag us at New Rockstars. And yes, we will feature you. We're going to be reviewing everything we liked, things that we had gripes with Justice League when we end up seeing it next week. That will be next week's Need to Know topic. So we will feature your reaction in the video. So just tag us in that at New Rockstars. But let's move on to
Will we give our answers for that?
We'll give our answers. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so our next big story, also Disney related. Disney was butting heads with the media over the past couple weeks.
Right.
Shame.
So last week, Disney banned the LA Times from advanced screenings of its movies, including, guys, all Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar properties. Disney owns so much.
Yep.
Now, the reason was that the LA Times published a story that criticized Disney's privileged business relationship with the city of Anaheim, California. That's where Disneyland is. Now, after Disney announced this punishing ban on the LA Times, a number of other media outlets, critics organizations, celebrities, and YouTubers like us denounced this ban and stood with the LA Times, boycotting Disney films until Disney agreed to drop the ban, which they did. So I'm, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go on a quick little rant. It might be a bit of an unpopular opinion on some things, but feel free to disagree. Okay, I don't want to wade too deep into the politics of this, though. If you're interested in local government and imbalanced tax incentives, that LA Times article is fascinating. But really, I just think we learned a valuable lesson this week on the power of the Walt Disney Corporation in our culture and whether or not that's a good thing and where the restraints might need to come in. Okay, I love Disney. I want to say that. They were the primary creative influence on me as a young storyteller, and now I really love that they're in control of Star Wars and Marvel. I think in many ways that has made those brands even better, as we've been saying this episode. And yeah, I love the Disney parks. I get that Disneyland, if you look at the history of it, more or less created the city of Anaheim as we know it today, and maybe they deserve some special treatment. I don't know. You feel free to disagree. But when Disney starts flexing its commercial might to try to silence what I think is good quality journalism, at the same time we hear these rumors of the company acquiring Fox, expanding to nearly half of all entertainment that we consume, it just starts to make me feel a little scared, a little like Galactic Empire. You know, like the more a powerful company becomes, it starts to feel above public scrutiny. It's natural for human nature to go that way. And I think we already have enough problems with people distrusting the media nowadays, guys, right? So I think on many levels, I'm a little relieved to hear that Disney, those Fox negotiations aren't happening, partly because I just don't think Disney ever would have allowed R-rated Deadpool or Logan to get made. But also, I just don't need one big, powerful company controlling everything I consume.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. I think mass media consolidation and a singularity are still 10 years away. So let's just enjoy as many different types of storytellers as we can.
It's already too late, Eric.
Play by the
Too
rules,
late.
Disney. It's that easy. It's that you can't, have a tantrum in a very, very public way because you didn't like what was talked about you.
Yes.
And then to punish and to censor in a way one particular media outlet. I think it's great though that the rest of the media was standing up to this because it wasn't. It's not playing by the rules. And it sucks when this happens. But they put more highlight. I read this article because of what went down. Why was it banned? I was more interested in knowing about the story. And did you know that the Disney park, the car parks, what do you guys call them?
The parking
car
lots?
parks?
Yep, they're owned by the city of Anaheim and they're rented to Disney for $1. And what is the money that makes? $30 million in revenue on an average year.
Wow.
Anyway, this is kind of interesting stuff that I learned because they banned it.
They banned it. Yeah.
It's not a smart thing to do if you want it dead and buried. Don't point going, we don't like this.
No, you buy out the company, Disney. you idiot.
buy
You
LA
almost
Times.
Fire them.
Like Disney couldn't buy the LA Times. No one's reading newspapers, all right?
The way that the media stepped up to recognize this was there was, I think, so many different film festivals were taking Disney out of the running for winning any of the awards.
Wow.
Because they were like, you're not playing.
Yeah.
adults."
I'm sorry, I was just agreeing. I was like, oh yeah, I remember reading that too.
Yeah. Critics associations and stuff.
Disney, if you're listening, I don't want to be associated with what these people are saying. If you will give me these advanced screenings, I will send you an Xbox. I really need to see these movies early. It would make my life a lot easier.
I think they bought Microsoft.
No, not a Microsoft Xbox. They cannot afford that. But, it's on its way to you.
A new Rockstars Xbox.
Yeah, I used to date it, and it's no longer.
Okay, let's move on to our need to know lightning round.
Questions we have not heard.
No,
Flash.
I'm just looking at these now. Okay, so these are I'm gonna hit the three of you guys with rapid fire off the cuff questions that you have to answer.
Okay.
You guys gave to us.
Yeah, we asked you guys earlier to tweet these to us. I'm just reading them off of the thread right now. But make sure to tweet us next Friday so that we have more questions to bombard ourselves with.
Yes.
Okay, so here
We
go.
go. Here we go.
Me.
Okay, we'll start with Maude.
Yes.
Favorite things to eat/drink while binging. That's from @nerdsoda140.
At least 5.
Oh, pizza, 100%. M&M peanuts only. Tim Tams. There's a new pineapple flavor, which is amazing. That was so good. I like to dip and chip like a cracker with Philadelphia cheese. That's 2. Boom, boom.
And Philadelphia cheese. Okay, cool.
Yum.
Okay.
Dip and chip.
Dip and chip.
Philip.
Dip and chip and Chim Tam and,
Lightning
sardine boards.
Philip, a past Marvel movie or TV character you'd like to see brought back in Infinity War, reintroduced or time travel. It's from @WT_pop.
Quicksilver.
So that's good. That's a good short one.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Zoom, zoom. Lightning round.
You did not see that going.
Oh, okay.
His accent gets twice as thick. It's like I can't hear you, man.
Okay. Sam.
Yeah, here comes.
I just saw a good one for you. Okay. Do you think they'll ever give Green Lantern a second chance? If so, do you think they'll do Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart or possibly Kyle Rayner?
Hal Jordan, because he
Some
makes the most money. He's the
nifty
original one, and they're doing the Green Lantern Corps movie. It's a buddy cop movie with Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. Yes.
You were just saying that you liked the new comics with Justice League.
Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz,
Jessica.
but they're gonna go with the most popular one. It's Hal Jordan.
And it's already happening.
It's already happening, and they already confirmed it's Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart because Jon Stewart deserves his. He's been doing it
Time.
for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But
2 things you like to binge eat.
That is how you binge it.
And
But
broccoli and peanut butter M&Ms.
Peanut butter, broccoli.
Trader Joe's Scandinavian swimmers. That's all I eat. I
do
buy
eat a
3
lot
bags
of
at a
those.
time,
I'm
and I'll
sorry,
eat
what
1
are
bag.
they?
They're Swedish fish, but all kinds of flavors.
I just heard you you only eat Scandinavian swimmers.
Yes, I do.
You already got
just want this-
you already got a bad candy, and now you got the knockoff of the bad
Yeah,
candy.
So good.
I pictured
You know how everybody loves like fish as a candy.
Just fish. Yeah, just raw fish you get that you ship in from Norway. Maude,
Yep.
lightning. What do you think of the snazzy new Doctor Who outfit from @Joshua John Banks?
It's a lot of fun. It's kind of going back to the Tom Baker feel with like the stripes, and I'm loving the overalls. I just don't. She needs all the help she can get, and I love that she's not overtly sexualized in any particular way. So I'm all about it. That's
great.
Cool.
Yep.
Philip @Philrato says,
Why are you so handsome?
Oh, well, great question.
this might be a little hard to do quickly, but do you think the Night King can resurrect a rotisserie chicken? Technically, the chicken corpse was exposed to fire, but it's not completely burned.
Yeah, no, of course it can. It's just gonna roll like around because it has no little chicken feet and it has no head. And they've already shown that a chicken will run around without a head, even if it's alive, without the Night King involved. So yes.
It go on all fours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I can tell, by the way, you use your back a rotisserie chicken.
That's how it sounds.
Yeah.
Sam, least favorite Justice League member. Oh.
Aww.
@ShinyPerson78.
Well, I mean, based on the comic.
Wait. Which version of Justice
Yeah.
League? Give him.
I can do because I haven't seen the movie yet.
Let's
so I
make it
don't
hard
know.
on him.
Yeah.
Just the ones that are in the movie.
Yes.
Oh, just the movie? I mean,
It's
if
the
just
Flash.
based on
Say it.
history.
Say it.
No, I actually Aquaman. I mean, I'm excited to see him. Jason Momoa is gonna be great, but normal comic one. Man, so many Aquaman fans.
Sometimes
They're
he's
some of the
cool.
meanest fans. They
no,
will
those
fight to
two.
the death for Aquaman.
Yeah.
But Aquaman.
I dare you to try it, Dent.
And there was one for me here. How long do you think you can go in an unedited breakdown? So, like, those of you who watch our Walking Dead breakdowns know I'm doing them all live to tape, and I'm doing them in one take, and I'm doing a killer job. You love them, don't you? And yeah,
Dad.
our longest one, Dad, I go 15 minutes. I think that might have been our longest one. Was around 15 minutes. Guys, it's really hard, and I screw up a lot of words, but like I make up for it with just charm.
This guy screws up more words than you do, but you're just not around for it.
Shush,
But he's
shush.
just, we
I'm not there to see it
we're thinking
anymore.
about releasing
Bloopers?
Sam bloopers
Hey.
montage because of we got to do something with these hours of footage that he produces
so good.
every video that he
Ooh,
shoots.
bus. Sam.
Hey guys, watch the Flash videos.
Yeah, speaking of which,
And editors
let's
working real
take
hard.
a look at what we got in the pipeline for things coming out in the next 7 days or so. Okay, so obviously next week will be the premiere of Justice League. We'll spend next week's Need to Know reviewing the film, but it's also been confirmed that there will be 2 end credit scenes. We'll have a separate video breaking down those. And yeah, I'll be doing Walking Dead episode 4 titled Some Guy, and like
God, they're
lovably.
just really phoning it in with those titles now.
It's just
His
some
name's
guy. We
Rick.
forgot what the character's name is.
Some guy.
What, guys, what else do we have in the pipeline?
Oh,
here?
wait a minute. What am I
Uh,
seeing right there? Is
well,
that a
Sam's
Flash?
got the Flash.
Episode 6 breakdown?
What?
Oh my
Have we got
goodness.
the elongated man?
Yeah, and he's
already?
actually amazing. He's
Oh, is he?
he's so
Good on
good.
him.
He sneezes his face off.
Oh, I saw he got punched in the mouth. It
Yeah.
looked like bad. It looked bad.
Yeah, it's good. You go watch it.
We got to start watching the show.
Yeah, no, we've got 2 really special videos coming out this week that I'm really excited for you guys to see. I can't tell you exactly what they are yet, but they're going to be out very soon, just a few days after you watch this. They're both Star Wars related, but not about the movies. One is about Star Wars Battlefront,
Yes.
which I know you're going to talk about in a second,
Yep.
but we're going to put together a real cool thing for those of you that are really interested in the campaign and the story of what new things have been added to the Star Wars universe in Battlefront 2.
Dun, dun,
dun. Oh.
And then the other thing is going to be about a real cool, without giving it away, I'll just say the fighting styles within Star Wars, and I'll say that there was a professional swordsman here, and he hurt Erik while he
My
was
life
here.
flashed before my eyes.
did.
Several times.
Oh,
That
no.
video is coming next week.
He
too.
doesn't sound like a professional then.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
he was
he's
here.
great.
He was
Erik
here to
doesn't
kill
have the
Erik.
He
That's what
was-
his
he
job
hired a
assignment
professional
was.
assassin
Yeah.
to take me
Erik
out.
just jumped out the window.
Yeah,
right
he did.
away.
Luckily, there was a mattress truck down below. So, and looking ahead beyond next week, we have a breakdown of the Justice League that we will be doing in the following week. And I know those of you Game of Thrones fans of our rewatch series, we have an episode of episode 4, or a breakdown of episode 4 coming. That's Cripples, Bastards, and Broken Things from season 1. It's a really great episode. I've found a lot of fun connections that we missed the first time around. So stay tuned for that. But let's move on to our. It's time now for our 15-second shout out, where each of us has 15 seconds to shout out, plug, or ramble about whatever we want. Sam, why don't you start?
Well, thank you so much. I say that everyone should finish this video, then go run out and watch The Florida Project. It's Sean Baker, I believe, is the director. It just follows the life of, stars Willem Dafoe and this amazing actress. I'm blanking on her name because I think this might be her first or second movie, but it just captures the true essence of childhood. And like, I don't think these kids actually have any lines. They're just given like, hey, you should do this. Hey, you should do this. And these kids are acting just like kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is so heartwarming, and I think it's the best role Willem Dafoe's had in years. Because I can only think
Have
of
you seen Star
like Wes Anderson stuff and him as Green Goblin, and then that one Finding Nemo thing.
That's all he's ever been in. He's just that famous from those appearances.
I love Florida Project. I mean, we grew up in Florida, so it's like it just felt like a slice of homemade pie for
Cool.
us. But okay, the movie I want to watch. It's not as heartwarming at all. It's terrifying. It's called The Killing of a Sacred Deer. It's the same
Yorgos
guy who did
Lanthimos.
The Lobster. It's got Nicole Kidman in this amazing role. But yeah, it's a very unsettling kind of like revenge tale. I don't want to say too much about it, but it felt very much like The Shining. So if you love Kubrick and you love The Shining, this is a good movie for you. But yeah, it's not a good date movie. Everyone who I was in the ArcLight movie theater with was like squirming and like just
will
confused. But
never
like
watch
it's
this.
super like a lot of subtle symbolism in there that I'm like, I didn't totally process this movie yet. I gotta go watch
But
it
is
again.
it like that subtle symbolism where it's like, why is her face bleeding through every pore? Like
Not
Rose,
that.
like weird stuff?
There is some very disturbing violence that I honestly had to
Yeah,
look
I
at the
had a
floor
feeling.
for like a good 10 seconds.
No,
but it's
thank
not
you.
like Aronofsky's Mother, if you saw it, where it's just like it's beating us over the head with the symbolism. It's very subtle and very much like The Shining in a good way.
Same guy who did The Lobster?
Yes.
The
Ooh,
Lobster.
Did you see The Lobster?
No.
Oh, I saw The Lobster and didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't love The
It's
Lobster, but I
divisive.
like this.
All right, but
I
send
think
to us, both of us, what your thoughts are on this movie, because I saw it
Yeah.
as well, and I have
Yeah, you can
feelings.
hit reactions
Oh,
up
did you
on
see it?
Stardust.
Yeah.
We'll feature some
Yeah.
I
next
won't
time.
like it.
15 seconds.
Yeah,
guys,
we're not
15
sticking to that at
seconds.
all.
We're doing
Sure.
great.
I'll keep mine nice and short because this video's like 12 seconds long, so I'm just going to talk for as long as the video is. It's called Cubio, and it's a laser burning device that you can burn with a laser into anything.
If you're not going to use it as a weapon to hurt
No,
someone.
you are. You
Bond going up
definitely
towards his
are.
crotch.
You can definitely use it to hurt people, but you can also use it to help people if you're a good person. No, I think it's
Psychopath
so
test.
cool to just like laser etch into like wood or laser etch into like leather or something. Is that what the video only was like 3 seconds?
You're going to come in with a bunch of leather now, aren't you?
I know,
Check out
I
your
just-
belts.
and
Embossed.
it all has like this like poor design that I made myself, and then my skin is burned underneath because I didn't take the jacket off when I did it.
I'm going to use it to
yeah.
brand people.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they have to sit still for like 25 minutes, but
It just tickles, doesn't it?
yeah. So kids, if you want to go blind in one eye and have some fun while you do it.
I've never been in my life and going, I need to burn something like
I need a laser cutter.
Oh,
I need
dude,
it.
I had all the creepy crawlers oven, like anything that I could use to create or destroy, I had it.
Okay, my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars
Kickstarter.
Battlefront 2.
Yay.
I know you played it as well. Apparently
Yeah.
you got to play the single-player campaign. I only got to play multiplayer.
Oh, really?
For 2 whole days.
I did the campaign for 9.5 hours straight.
I reckon I played it. We played it for 9 hours for 2 days. Is a lot of playing.
So real quick,
Yeah.
you don't know this. I saw footage of the multiplayer or whatever, and I saw how you performed in it and whether or not you got killed a lot or killed people a lot.
It's not true.
I did. I saw it because you were playing as Geek Bomb. And
Oh, what?
somebody posted their video.
Oh,
and
someone
you were
else
there,
was playing.
and it shows
Oh,
how
okay.
well you're
I
doing.
was sitting in the middle. Was I sitting in the
You
middle?
were kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I was in the middle of the whole time. So I was playing against game journalists and
Right.
like professional gamers like IGN Brazil, like all the international big gaming journalists I was against. I won a few, thank you, Heroes versus Villain.
did,
I
you
was on
did.
the top, but we lost overall because
Yeah.
I was the best out of my group, which said something. But what I wanted to talk about is that if you played the first game and you felt like a lot was lacking, they definitely listened to you, and there is a lot more. I think there's 5 different ways to play multiplayer
The
alone.
multiplayer options are like this
A
game is like
lot.
9 games in one game.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's like you can play it so many different ways. You can do local co-op, you can go online, you can play by yourself offline as well, so you don't even have to go online. And then there's the story player mode, single player campaign, which is what I was interested in learning because it lacked in the first game. It didn't exist at all.
Yeah, there was nothing. And then this one, it's huge. There's so much going on in this.
I
It's
didn't
like
get the
long too. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm doing a video on the multiplayer side of things, and I think you're taking
On the
this-
campaign, yeah.
Exactly. So we're covering basically the entire game because
Yeah,
it's so
your video will
big.
be on Geek Bomb though.
100% will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's
Team
gonna
up.
be over at Geek Bomb.
87% will be.
Yeah. Finally, let's return to the trivia question that we asked earlier.
Ooh,
Oh
right.
yeah. Oh, wait, what's the punishment?
All right.
Yeah.
So
Filup
the
wanted to-
person that wins will take care of our Twitter handles in the end. And
Yep.
guys, you got to remember to make fools of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
as you
really,
say our
let
Twitter
us have
handles
it.
or our names. Just really let us have it. Let us know how you really feel about yourselves. You don't even have to use our real names as you do it. And the loser is going to have to give you everything else that you need to know about what happened in the news this week. But every headline they read, they're going to have to tag it with just such a good joke that they just came up with right on the spot right there about that headline.
I am good on the
I-
spot.
I can sense the energy that Maud's like, I want to step up to that challenge.
Oh, really?
I can tell.
You didn't see her face.
Yeah, please
grimace.
do that instant rewind and
Yeah.
slow-mo my panic.
So the question it was, 3 actors in Thor Ragnarok all appeared together in a different non-MCU property. Who are the 3 actors and what is the property?
Yeah.
So the
Ooh, the
I guess I'll do the answer last.
Yeah, yeah.
because- on this one. So Eric thinks that no, wait, sorry, I'm wrong. This this is Maude.
I'm answering this question on behalf of the internet.
This is Maude and the internet's answer. This is why we have IMDb. And then a drawing of Eric.
You bet a
Just
trivia
long
game.
hair.
Right.
Yeah, this is new long hair. Yeah, I get that. This is why we have
That is
IMDb.
the right answer.
You know, feels like it's gonna be considered the wrong
Okay.
answer. And then this is Sam saying that it's Hunt for the Wilder People, which is Taika Waititi's previous film before this one, and it would include Taika himself, Sam Neill, and henchwoman.
I don't remember her
Now
name.
remind me.
Henchwoman to Jeff Goldblum.
Henchwoman.
Topaz.
Topaz.
And that's my answer is.
This is also your answer?
Uh-huh.
Oh, hold on.
Do we team up?
Eric said Sam Neill, Rachel House?
I think that's her name.
Question mark.
Well, this is why we have IMDb.
And Taika Waititi, Hunt for the Wilder People. Here's why we have questions that other people usually prepare, because there's probably more than one right answer to this. So even though that's probably right, I will say none of you are right, because the one I'm thinking of, and you had to be in my head to answer right. It was the Hemsworth, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Luke Hemsworth?
That's the one that
Luke
appeared.
Hemsworth,
Yeah, who
his brother,
appeared and the scene with Sam Neill.
Right, he was playing Thor in the mock play. Yeah.
It was what's her name? Valkyrie's real name.
Tessa Thompson.
Tessa Thompson.
And
dang it.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
In Westworld.
That's right.
That's
Wow,
All of
so there
them
were
Did you
are
say
major characters in
multiple
Westworld.
right
Wait,
answers?
you
That's
said
interesting.
what was the question though?
No.
It's a
Non-MCU?
non-MCU. There were multiple right answers.
Movie.
Property.
Property.
Dang it.
Yeah. Man, you shouldn't even have checked.
Dang it.
So,
Okay, well-
judges, who got the closest? Eric, because he had his names.
Right.
And didn't
A
refer
right
to her as
answer.
henchwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
her
was
first
your
name's
answer?
Rachel.
No, I came up with the
You
question.
knew that you knew the question.
Got
Yeah.
it,
Okay.
got
Yeah.
it.
And
Great
then the
question.
furthest, I mean, it's gonna be Maude. We all
Basically, overall.
It's like turning in the textbook at an exam. You
mean-
can't do that.
Yeah.
But it's every right answer.
Yeah. Wait, you
You
don't
know-
get it. The answer's in the book.
I know. I love. I spent like 5 minutes
Right.
saying how Disney wasn't playing by the rules, and now I'm going, but this
Right.
is.
But technically-
but the number of videos that we make that could be answered by "This is why we have IMDb," we just can't allow
No,
that.
okay, that's fair. That's
We
why I
have to
kept
pretend
asking what
that-
the punishment was. So I guess here we go, zingers all around, you know.
Okay, so
Let's get
here
zinged.
we go.
Alright,
Those
these
other
are
news.
the other major news stories of the week that people need to know about.
Cool.
Yes.
Well, the Shazam movie, they cast actor Asher Angel
Yay.
from Disney Channel's Andy Mack to play Billy Batson, the boy who transforms into Shazam, who's going to be played by Zach Levi.
And here's a fresh one.
And here
Hot
comes
take.
and
Denim jeans.
Leave.
Levi Denim.
It's great so far. We're nailing this.
Golf clap, guys.
Great. Yes.
Why don't you just
what
get a
else?
bat son and end this for me? Is that better? Better.
No.
Great. Cool. It was violent. J.K. Simmons said he would be open to returning to the Spider-Man movies as J. Jonah Jameson. J.K. It's a lie.
This is so good.
Oh, wow. I really am the loser of this. And Westworld star Evan Rachel Wood tweeted that the show's second season would return in spring of 2018.
Milking it. Taking the time.
I'm trying to think of how I can connect the robots to a spring in it, but I can't, so I've just explained the joke instead, and I'm going to leave it up to
Maybe
everyone
that doesn't
else.
look like anything to me.
I like that one. I like that one. That was a good one.
That's his favorite one because he understood
Hold
it.
on, I got it now. I just need time with these things. Evan Rachel Wood, but didn't.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I
What
like
didn't
the
you
other
do?
joke better.
Tweeted.
How do you laugh more than all of us combined?
It's the only way I sleep at night. And Mark Hamill said in an interview that, despite fan speculation, Luke Skywalker will not turn to the dark side in The Last Jedi. I just went straight to something real smutty. He will
I
not
mean,
turn
good
to
for
the
him.
dark side, but it could happen in the parody version. No. In the dark side.
It's the end of the
oh,
video. No
oh.
one's watching. You can say it.
I'm a loser.
I meant you could say the dirty thing.
Oh, no, I'm not going to say it.
All right. And time for our
Mark that
winner.
spot. Damn it.
Mark
The
that
dark-
spot.
Mark it is.
Okay.
Not
Let
going to
me-
the dark spot?
Let me go.
We all lose at
We're
the
trying.
end.
We're trying to
Yeah,
take
we-
it away.
yeah.
Eric,
All right.
why don't you take over?
All right. Okay. So victory lap. Here's the winner.
Think
okay.
that, Eric.
guys watching this
Why do you use his voice when you win?
And it's cool. I sound like when I win.
Yes, and
Making me look good.
I want a tank. It says Tankaros.
that's what you wrote.
I wrote this copy. Sam Bashor more like, oh, we're all splitting the bill, but I got Sam no cash, or right?
No one's
Eric
done that
Voss,
one before.
Adier Voss, yeah.
It's a new burn.
Yeah.
Barely
buy
said
me
your own
lunch.
Twitter
Yeah.
handle.
Filup, when you asked her his opinion on things, no Lena to either side because it's empty suit, right?
It's not good.
Quick, what's his character's name? This guy has a
Tank.
name.
Yeah,
This is Tank.
This is like
Tank.
This is Tank.
this is Tank. Man,
Tank.
I'm Tank. I write jokes for the Friars Club. They name him for Tank. Or use Tank is upset. Tank
He's
Smash.
the winner, guys.
Lost a winner.
Winner.
I won. Somehow.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
Oh no! This is really hurting my head.
want- I
I'm
want
See
getting a
your
headache doing this.
veins. Who's sitting next to me?
And then also
Go on.
want to tank Maude, Garrett, more like, oh God, Garrett.
That's exactly right. That's what happened the last 5 minutes.
All right, dropping the character. Remember to hit us up.
No, he'll
I
never
want-
leave you.
I want fan art for Tank. I want fan art for Tank.
Tank you.
Yeah.
I'm getting through this fast. Okay, remember to hit us up with those responses on our Stardust question. What Justice League member do you identify with the most, and why is it Wonder Woman if you're female for 50% of the population? And tag us in your tag us at New Rockstars in your Stardust reaction so that we can see it and we might feature it in next week's episode. And of course, with all of our videos, comment down below. This is a conversation. We want to hear what you guys think on all these topics, and so that you can tell us what kind of topics you want us to see us cover. And tweet us at New Rockstars using the hashtag Need to Know. Like this video, share it around. Subscribe to New Rockstars for all of our deep dives and the stuff that you love. Guys, see you next week.
Tank you.
And thank you for watching.
Tank.
Thanks.